Most people take years to get good at or even just get started with investing. But what if you could master it within just a few weeks? Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I was one of the many. It took me years to get started. And most of that was procrastination because I didn't know where to start or what to do. And since then, I've been wondering what would be the easiest and the fastest way to master investing. So now I've done the work for you and I will show you the shortcut. So if you want to build lasting wealth so that your work at some point becomes optional and is not a necessity anymore, this is for you. Now I promised you weeks, so let's do this within a 4-week schedule. So you do not get overwhelmed when doing this, like I did, and you know exactly what to do within each week. Now just in case you need proof, if you wonder, why should I invest? If you had invested $500 every month over the past 10 years into an MSCI World Index, which from today, looking back 10 years, averaged about 10% per year, you would have now close to $100,000. Okay, not quite, 95.6K or something. And in case you need proof from me, I have passed the 100K years ago. So it's definitely worth starting right now. If we haven't met yet, I'm Sophia. I've been learning about money and investing for the past decade. And on this channel, I share the strategies on how to build wealth without living frugal, because I do not like to live frugal. If that sounds like you as well, you're invited to subscribe. And now let's dive in with week number 1. And the first week will purely be dedicated to learning the terms. Because one thing you might have heard of about investing is that it's risky, and that is true. And another thing you might have noticed is that it has its own language. And week 1 would be just about learning that language and learning about the risk. So the way I would do that is I would take one day and how much time I have on that day to binge different videos, different articles, maybe even books. Although you don't have to read books because it just takes too much time. What you could do though is just skim through the books and look for the terms that you're not familiar with. And I would write down all those terms, really just making a list. And therefore the rest of the days of the week, I would pick one term of my list, term or phrase or word or whatever, and I would look that up. So here are a few examples. Assets, stocks, stock market, funds, index funds, bonds, risk management, asset allocation, dollar cost averaging, bull market, bear market, compound interest. And then one word or phrase might take you just a couple of minutes and another one maybe takes you a bit longer. But if you do only that for a whole week, and it doesn't even matter if you have a full-time job, you can just do it in the spare time you have. But then by the end of that week, you will have a foundational understanding of the investment terms. I do have a playlist, not on all of them, but on some of them, and I'll link it down in the video description. And I know it can be tempting to, go down the rabbit hole and read more and more and more. But now that I look back, it really does not have to take that long. What's more important is that we get actually started, and that's why I'm choosing this tight deadline of 1 week. And then week 2 will be dedicated to investment strategies. And now the next step in week 2 is to dive deeper into how you can, and also how other people apply these investments or investment terms in their own strategy. Now what you could do here again is start at day 1 and type in investment strategies into Google or YouTube or whatever platform you're using, and then just see what comes up to get a bigger picture. Now I think the fastest and easiest ways to figure out your own investment strategies is to reverse engineer what successful investors already have done. Because there are investors, professional investors, who had a lot of success with their investment strategy. So there is no need for us to reinvent the wheel. We can just do what they've been doing. Here are some examples. Ray Dalio's all-weather portfolio, Warren Buffett's value investing, a dividend strategy, Jack Bogle's index investing. I myself have a world portfolio. It's also from a book. Unfortunately, there is no translation in English, but I link a video on how I invest my money down below as well. And then on the following days of the week, each day you can take one investment strategy and dive deeper into that. And at this point, I would say you don't even have to decide yet. You can just research, maybe also take notes and write them down. And then you can just let it sit and continue with week number 3. Now, week number 3 will be about figuring out the details. So until now we covered knowledge ground and strategy ground. And now the next question would be, okay, how do I actually set that up? How can you apply what you have learned? And once you start asking yourself that question, what will pop up are questions like, okay, if I want to invest into the stock market, I will need a brokerage account. Now, what's the best brokerage account in my situation right now? For example, a tax advantage account first. Then also, these are small details, but they do matter. Okay, which broker do I pick? If I now have the broker, how do I transfer money from where my money is to the brokerage account? How do I actually buy something at this brokerage account? So this would be the time to make yourself familiar of the actions that are required, and that might take you again some time to research. I remember when I first ordered the fund that I had chosen, I had to choose the order type, so market order or limit order. And there were a few other options as well, and I had no clue what that was. So I also looked that up. So it's really about taking the next step, figuring it out, taking the next step, and so on. So you might hit those little bumps in the road where something comes up that you maybe did not expect, but that is completely normal. And now by finding out those details, and you're probably already approaching the end of week 3 now, you also will have to decide on a strategy. So all the strategies that you have researched before had now a little bit time to sit, and you probably will have a tendency for one. So one for you might have stood out or felt a little bit better when you think about actually putting money into a strategy, that resonated more with you, and you can just go with that. And now week 4 is about act and iterate fast. So now it comes to the probably most scary part of it, which is actually put money into an investment. So at this point, you researched brokerage accounts. If you don't have one yet, this is the time where you would open one. You also picked an investment strategy and looked up some investments that would fit that strategy. So you actually have something you can type into the brokerage account. And at this point, I would say it's totally fine to set the bar very low. And by setting the bar low, I mean you can start with little money. And a way to find out is you could ask yourself, okay, what amount of dollars would I not miss in my bank account? Or if you imagine, for example, missing $50 in your bank account, would you even notice? Or maybe it's 5 or 10 or 100 or 500. So whatever number comes up for you, start with that because you won't miss it. And then you transfer that amount into your brokerage account, investment account, and you buy your first investment. Congratulations. Now I do recommend though, you have put all that work into it, 4 weeks of work. I would not make that just a one-time buy, because the amount of money that you put in that you did not miss, it's very likely that you will not miss that kind of money every month. So I would make that immediately, actually, a recurring order, like an investment plan. And then you can take some time, maybe a few weeks, to see how all of this makes you feel. If you now figure out, okay, I would like to know a little bit more about that or a little bit more about that, then you can now dive deeper and then, reevaluate what you have been investing in. And I think the advantage of this 4-week sprint, if you will, is that it forces you to act fast. Like very fast, even though the single steps might feel incomplete. But the thing is, there's always more to read, more to learn, more to think about. But at the same time, this is often what keeps us from moving forward sooner. And the goal of this 4-week process is actually to get you started and to make investing normal for you, to make this your new normal. And now that it is, with an amount of money that you're comfortable with, it's way easier to make a higher amount of money also more comfortable. Because you probably already guessed it, but if you want to build wealth, in a way that it makes you financially independent fast, then you need to invest more than just 100 or 500. So after those 4 weeks or 6 or 8 or whatever, the next step would be to continue what you've already invested, but also to increase how much you've invested. But the thing is, and I'm speaking from experience, investing large amounts of money at once, especially if you've never done that before, that can be intimidating. That's why we started how we started. Or of course you don't have large amounts of money at once, which would be the normal scenario when you have a job. And then you just invest the money that you have available each time you get paid. By the way, I'm hosting a free live web class on financial freedom where I show you the exact strategies that I use to build wealth without living frugal, all packed within 30 minutes. If you want to sign up, there's a link down below. And now I hope you have a very successful 4 weeks of starting to invest. Let me know how it goes, because I do want to see you succeed. Thank you for watching, and until the next video. Bye bye.